is this: you can engage in defeated self-talk and end up sabotaging yourself before you even get started. That's the reason why I say when you're faced with certain challenges and you're being asked to do something by your mentor, by your coach, or whatever, watch your self-talk. Don't say those words, I can't, this is too hard, this has never been done before. You know what, I don't know if this is gonna work. Zip it, be quiet, shut up, don't say it. Why? Because you are talking yourself out of your own victory.
That me though. That me though. I ain't got no problem with what you do. I'ma do me though. Yeah. I like chains on top of my chains for real, but that's me though.
So there are certain rules. There are certain rules for greatness, becoming great at anything. There are certain rules that I want to share with you, what I call the 4 rules of greatness. The 4 rules of greatness. And I want to share those with you in this video. Now, I know some people ask, well, Tim, what qualifies you to even speak about this subject matter to begin with? I mean, you know, it ain't like you can, and I don't sit back and like profess like, oh, I'm the guru, I'm the greatest. You know, I'm not Muhammad Ali, anything of that nature.
I am the greatest.
And yeah, he was the greatest in the ring, trust me. That man there, he was a beast. But I do know just a little bit about greatness. So what I want to do is I want to share a little bit of my story, my testimony, just some of the events from my own life, and then I'm going to follow that up with the 4 rules of greatness, the things that I've discovered that enables a person to become great at anything, at whatever they are doing. My story is very simple. Again, when I was a kid, I was always fascinated with, you know, martial arts and things. I actually wanted to be a ninja. I mean, can you imagine it? I used to make nunchucks and I used to make ninja swords. I would get metal, you know, pieces of metal rods and things. And when my parents weren't there, you know, I'm telling on myself now, hopefully my parents aren't looking at this, but when my parents weren't there, I would take the metal and I would go into the kitchen, cut the stove on, and I would heat the metal up on the stove, you know, the metal rods and stuff, and get the hammer, and I would just be hammering and fashioning, you know, those rods and stuff into ninja swords, you know. And I mean, just had this wild, crazy imagination. I looked at a bunch of ninja movies, but then somewhere along the lines, my obsession went from wanting to be a martial artist, and I did the karate and taekwondo, but my obsession, it ended up changing. I went from that to focusing on boxing. I don't know why, but I just fell in love with boxing. And eventually, that's what I went into. I went into the boxing ring. And so this, you know, there's a image, and you can see it up on the screen. And this image is, of course, this was an article that was written up about me in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and that was back in 1994. And that's when, again, I had really just kind of set out on that track, and I said, this is what I want to do. And in that arena, I started to really kind of make some grounds. It was something that I truly loved. I mean, if you're going to become great at anything, you need to be passionate about it. You need to be passionate about it. And so that was something that I wanted to do. That was something I was very passionate about. That was something that before I got into the ministry, I actually perceived that as my calling in life. The thing that I was going to focus all of my time and focus on, and I would eventually blow up from there. Had my whole plan drawn out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to become very influential. And then I'm going to go around all of the jails and all of the schools, and I'm going to tell the kids to stay off of drugs and stay out of trouble and blah, 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 and just be a motivational speaker. And that I actually had my whole plan. Of course, you know, there's an old saying that if you want to make God laugh, show him your plans, but it's not that serious, that severe, but God did have other plans for me. other than that. But during that time period, I devoted all of myself just to that. And what ended up happening is I wasn't in it very long. But I was very dedicated to it, very dedicated to it. So much so to only in my second fight, I ended up qualifying for the Golden Gloves Nationals and ended up qualifying even for Olympic trials. And I was, like I say, I'm just starting out. But I qualified, but I had to, in order for me to qualify, I had to take on an individual that was superiorly, just qualified and more experienced than me. I'd only been training for a couple of months, a little less than a year. But this other guy this is something that he had been doing since he was a little kid, and he was a multiple Golden Gloves winner, 5-time Florida State champion, completely undefeated with over 60 fights to his name, and this was only my second fight. But I won, defeated him, actually won unanimously, dominated that fight, and that allowed me to qualify and to go on to an arena, to an area in that particular field that I couldn't have imagined myself going to when I first set out on that journey. So I was on a path to really kind of experiencing extraordinary success, the ability to become Golden Gloves champion, one of the highest ranked in my division in the amateurs, the ability to live out a dream. And the reason why I was in the position to do so was because of the work habits that I had while I was in the gym. The work ethics that I had, which I was in the gym. For example, I was one of the first ones there and one of the last ones to leave. I was one of the individuals that I actually probably outworked everyone else in the gym, pro and amateur. It didn't matter when it came to work habits, work ethics. That I put in more work than most people would even think about. Like I say, one of the first there, one of the last to leave, consistently Monday through Saturday. Sunday was the only day off. So when you work hard, you will find yourself surpassing the competition. But that's what I did. And then again, God called me out of that and called me into the ministry in 1995 at the age of 16. And that's when I left that and I decided to go wholeheartedly into the ministry. But I'm only a teenager. I'm in high school at this time. Like I said, 16 years old. By the time I got to my junior year in high school, I was constantly writing poetry, short stories, creative writing. And next thing you know, I ended up getting involved with poetry competitions. So there's another newspaper clip that you could also see on the screen right there. Here I am now. I'm competing in poetry competitions from in different states, as it would go from state to state, and there will be hundreds of poets there from all over the world, from America, from Europe, from Africa, from Australia, from Asia, from every state in the United States of America, all backgrounds, from college professors to published authors and so on and so forth. People from all over the world that were competing in this competition, and I won each and every year that I went. So the first year I won the second place prize. Then the next year I won the first place prize. Then I won again, and each year there were only 20 people out of several hundred people that were competing in places filled with thousands of individuals. There were only 20 winners. 20 people that won each year, and each year I was in the winner's circle. So second place, then first place, then I came again in third place, then I came again third place the following year after, fifth place, the year after that, and then came back and the last time I went and I won the grand prize. So year after year after year after year, I would find myself winning in the winner's circle and became the highest the highest winning poet in that international competition. And yes, it was worldwide, that international competition, and I was the number one poet in that entire competition, winning the most money, the most earnings, the most winnings, and so on and so forth. So I shared just a little bit about that, and those were just two examples, two things in my life where I share that, well, there are certain things that you can do that can cause you to become really, really good and even great at something in a short amount of time. And those four things are what I want to share with you right now at this time, the 4 laws of greatness. Law number 1 is never say, and I do repeat, never, never, ever, 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 ever let these words slip out of your mouth. I can't, or this is too hard. Better not say that. Don't let those words slip out of your mouth. I don't care if you're thinking it, better not say it. You know, I kind of got a rule that if I were a boxing coach and I was working with a young man or a young woman, and they would ever say words like "I can't" or "this is too hard," I would let them know right then and there on the spot. If you want me to continue to work with you, training you, I better not ever hear those words come out of your mouth ever again. I don't care if you're thinking it, just don't speak it. Don't say that kind of stuff. Don't ever complain. Don't ever complain. You see, this is the first rule again. Don't let those kind of words, those complaints, those complaining words that I can't do this. Oh my God, this is too hard. Don't ever say that. Don't complain when a coach is trying to coach you, when a mentor is trying to mentor you. Don't complain. Don't give them talk back. Don't give them feedback. Don't come to them telling you what your limitations are, and especially what you is and what you ain't gonna do. And yeah, that's too hard. You want me to run how many miles? And no, you better cut it out, because one of the rules of greatness is you never let those kind of things come out of your lips. If someone is working with you, coaching you, mentoring you, training you, you better just be in 100%. And if it's too hard for you to do it, don't say it's too hard for you to do it. Try it. Keep doing it until finally you can do it and it becomes easy for you to do it. But don't ever stop yourself. Don't ever utter those kind of words, because you'll make that coach or mentor frustrated. You'll cause them to get tired. You'll cause them to even feel hopeless when it comes to working with you. So don't ever say words like that out of your mouth. The second rule for greatness is never think or view a challenge as an impossibility. Never think of a challenge as too impossible for me to overcome, or this is just too big. I can't, I'm sorry. Again, those words again, I can't, this is too hard. No, never view any challenge as an impossibility. Don't view it as an impossibility. So, for example, again, when you look at certain individuals, like we go to the Bible, we see David. Everybody else was running from Goliath. David was a teenage kid and the only one in the camp running to Goliath. And he didn't talk and down-talk himself, but instead he ran towards the challenge and said, I'm going to take this uncircumcised Philistine out of here. He got the audacity to run his mouth against my God. Oh, this is the last time he run in his mouth, period. He's done. And David went out there and did what people considered to be impossible. But he didn't talk himself out of taking on the challenge. You don't know what you could do. You don't know what your potential is. You don't know how good you may be at something if you don't take on the challenge. If you don't come up to the plate and say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and step up to the plate and I'm going to go ahead and challenge this. There's the story of an individual who He ran a mile in less than 4 minutes. Before that, everyone said it was impossible to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. But this man did not listen to what everyone said. He plugged his ears, he grew stubborn, obstinate, and he insisted that I'm going to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. And sometimes you just got to have that stubborn determination that I'm going to do this. I know everybody's telling me it can't be done, but I'm going to do this. Now, I'm not talking about foolish stuff. You're going to take all the drugs in the world. I'm going to be the only person that doesn't get an overdose. No, come on now. We're not talking about ridiculous things, but we're talking about when you're challenging yourself to reach new heights. When you're challenging yourself within something that is reasonable, within something that is humanly possible, you can't be God, that ain't gonna happen. But when it comes to something that is humanly possible, just don't talk yourself out of reaching new heights. Don't talk yourself out of taking on new challenges. Don't talk yourself out of facing those challenges. Be up for the challenge. Be up for it. Be up for it. And this gentleman, when he got on that track and he decided to run that mile, he ran it in less than 3 minutes because he did not listen to what everybody else was telling him. He decided, I'm up for the challenge and I'm going to do this. I'm up for the challenge and I'm going to do this. So again, even when I look back at my situation, in the boxing ring, my second opponent, he had over 60 fights and 0 losses. And I remember when I was getting ready for that match, and I was sitting back in the locker room with my coach as we were waiting to go out to the ring. And one of the opponents, or I guess one of his stooges or something, came to my locker room just to tell me, the guy you're getting ready to face, right? He's undefeated. Nobody can beat this guy. This guy, he is undefeated and he whipped everybody, man. His last fight, he messed somebody up. And I just want to let you know what you're getting ready to step into. And I looked that young man in the eyes and I said confidently, this is his first loss tonight. And sure enough, went out there and that was his first loss that night. In fact, I was ticked off after the match was over because I was like, can I at least get another 3 or 4 rounds with him? I ain't done with him. I'm ready to go on some more. I'm like, can y'all bring somebody else to the ring? Because I'm still amped up. So the reality is this: you don't know what you could do, but don't back down from the challenge. You step up to the plate. You step up to the plate and you take on that challenge because you may shock yourself. You may surprise yourself, and it's on the back end of that challenge you'll find yourself stepping into a whole nother level of greatness, but you have to take on the challenge. So that's the second rule. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. Every time the coach will come to me and say, Tim, I want you to do this. I want you to do that. All right, Tim, we're going to do a new exercise, 1,000 punch drill. Okay. All my word was to the coach was, yes, sir. Never, I can't do that. You want me to do what? Never. And I've seen guys in the gym actually argue with the coach when he was challenging them to do something they've never done before, and I would shake my head like, that's ridiculous. You're paying this guy to train you, but you're fussing with him the whole time when he's trying to get you to another level of greatness. Shut up, and just do it. And if it's hard, keep doing it until it get easy. Keep doing it, and so 1,000 punches got too easy. Then it became just punch for 3 rounds, working through the break bell non-stop. Then that got too easy. Then it became punching for 5 rounds non-stop, working through the break bell, and that got too easy. And all of this is before I even started the actual workout routine. No shadow boxing or anything else. That was just the warm-up. So do it until it becomes so easy. But if you talk yourself out of it because you see that challenge as impossible, then hey, you're not going to do it and you're not going to step into a place of greatness. So the third thing right here is avoid defeated self-talk. Don't sabotage yourself before you can even get started. Again, a lot of this goes back to the psychology here of what you say, what you think and what you say. Avoid defeated self-talk. Don't sabotage yourself before you even get started. For goodness sakes, if there's a challenge before you, don't talk yourself out of it. In case you don't know, I am a big boxing fan. Even though I don't compete in anything, I love to watch it, and I love to look almost like a fight historian, so to speak. But I think about when Leon Spinks fought Mike Tyson. Spinks, he was an incredible fighter. Some people don't give him the credit that he really deserves. I mean, he put a beating on guys, even guys like Larry Holmes. He was an incredible fighter. But when he got ready to fight Mike Tyson, Spinks's manager, his coach, walked into Tyson's locker room just to tell him, hey, let you know, no hard feelings, just kind of, friendly competition. And when he walked in, he saw Tyson punching holes in the wall. And he went back to Spinks's locker room and transferred his fear to his fighter. Fear is transferable. That's the reason why in the Bible, when Gideon was tasked by God to find men to walk alongside him to go against the Midianites, God said, any man that is fearful, tell them to leave the army. Don't let them accompany you. Why? Because fear is transferable. It can cripple the attitudes of those around you. And Spinks's coach, his manager, ended up bringing that fear to the locker room. And then when Spinks got into the ring with Mike Tyson, before the fight even got started, he was already defeated. Why? Because he was defeated up here. And sometimes you can find yourself defeated before you even get started because you have engaged in defeated self-talk. You got to be your own cheerleader sometimes. You got to be the only one telling yourself, I got this. In fact, I don't just have this, I'm about to rule. I'm about to dominate. Now, Spinks was afraid of Tyson, but Buster Douglas wasn't. And we all know what happened as a result of that fight when we saw Mike Tyson get put to sleep for the first time in his career. Why? Because he ran up against somebody that wasn't scared of him. So the reality is this: you can engage in defeated self-talk and end up sabotaging yourself before you even get started. That's the reason why I say when you're faced with certain challenges and you're being asked to do something by your mentor, by your coach or whatever, watch your self-talk. Don't say those words, I can't, this is too hard, this has never been done before. You know what, I don't know if this is gonna work. Zip it, be quiet, shut up, don't say it. Why? Because you are talking yourself out of your own victory. Be careful about the words that come out of your mouth, because psychology is over 90% of the battle. And if this right here is already defeated and you're speaking defeat, then how in the world do you actually expect yourself to win from the get-go? I love, again, going back to David's example, everybody was talking about Goliath, talking about how big he was. David was the only one talking about how big God was. And he was bragging about, yeah, I ain't scared of no 9 foot, 10 foot giant. Forget that dude, man. Do you know what happened to me when I was in the wilderness? A bear came in my sheep, I killed that bear. My own hands, grabbed that slingshot, that thing was gone. And then a lion came, I killed a lion, my own hands. Grabbed it by the mane and whop, took it out of here. And what you think I'm finna be, man, while he trash talking God, I'm about to trash talk him. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine? Who does he think he is? Man, by the time we over, man, I'm telling you, before the day is done, the crows are going to be picking his eyes out. Why? Because he's going to be nothing but a huge maggot buffet. I'm taking this sucker out. I mean, David was trash talking Goliath. How in the world does a teenager who's probably no more than 5 feet 5 inches tall trash talk a 10-foot tall giant who is a renowned warrior trained from a child up for war? And David never even held a sword a day in his life. David, listen, my goodness, he trash talked that giant and he didn't care. You know why? Because he was focused on not his impossibility, but the possibility and the strength and the power of his God. And if God called you to it, all you need to focus on is God has already equipped me with the tools to win this thing. He's already given me what I need to succeed in this situation. God has already given me what I need to be the best at this. So I ain't worried about what somebody else is doing and how good somebody else is. They're about to take second place and take the back seat to me because God equipped me to be the best. You got to talk yourself up, not talk yourself down. And you got to talk yourself into facing those challenges, not talk yourself into running from those challenges. So those are 3 of the rules of greatness. And then the 4th rule is this, plain and simple. Dedicate and devote yourself 100% to whatever it is that you're doing. You can't be split up in your commitment. Well, you know what? I'm gonna be great at football and great at basketball. No, if you want to be Deion Sanders, prime time to go, you got to be all in on nothing but football. Sure, he could play basketball. Sure, he could play baseball. Sure, he was good at other things, but he was great at football. And greatness only comes when you dedicate 100% of your time to that one thing. You want to be great, you got to be all in for just that. Don't fool yourself and think that you can be divided, that you could be into this and then try that and then try this and be great at 2 or 3 different things. No, you can only be great at one thing, and you have to be all in. So again, when it came to the boxing ring, I was only in there for a very short period of time, but in that period of time, first one there, last one to leave. Did things that other fighters in the gym did not want to do. When it came to training, out-trained, outworked every last one of the other guys. So when it came down to being in the actual ring, getting into fights, those were the easiest things to do because my work level, when it came to training, was above everyone else in the gym. I never talked back. I never said I can't. Any challenge I was given, I stepped up to the plate. When I was put in the ring with people better than me, I never ran. I jumped right in the ring and went at it. And if I got beat up, I came back again. And I came back again and again and again and again.
This guy's incorrigible.
And so you have to just keep going at that challenge. Just keep coming back. Never talk yourself out of it. Never engage in defeated self-talk, and be 100% all in. When it came to the poetry competitions, while all of my friends were hanging out, going to the parties and doing this and that, guess what I was doing on weekends? I'm hanging out. I'm probably like the biggest nerd. I'm hanging out at the bookstore. I used to go to Borders bookstore, and I would go to the poetry competition, and I'm sitting there reading Billy Collins and Sylvia Plath and Ginsberg, and I'm sitting there reading Thomas and Beulah, and I'm reading Giovanni. I'm reading all of these different poets, and how many people want, young people, teenagers want to go hang out at the bookstore and read books of poetry and novels and stuff like that, on their off time. No, man, I want to go hanging out and have fun. But listen, the sacrifice that you put in today will reward you tomorrow. So a lot of people want to be great. You want to be a great writer, but you don't read. You want to be a great athlete, but you don't train. You want to be a great at this, but you don't even study the greats. You can't even tell me who's at the top of that industry that you're stepping into. You haven't even studied the greats. When I was boxing, I used to look at nothing but videos of Sugar Ray Robinson, one of my favorite fighters. When I started writing poetry, getting into writing, I used to read all of these novels and different books, reading Billy Collins, reading Frank Peretti, his novels. I used to just sit back and read. And if you're going to be great, you have to be all in on just that and burn the midnight oil and make the sacrifices and just focus on that. So yes, I was able to win competition, and not just for poetry, but also for creative writing, winning college competitions while I was still in high school, because we would submit poems and short stories to different colleges. So I was winning all of those awards even before the major poetry competitions, but that's because all I did was write. That's all I focused on. So if you want to become great at something, those are the 4 rules. And sure, there are plenty of more that we can talk about, but those are the 4 key rules to becoming great at something in a fast amount of time. Be all in. Be dedicated to it. Never engage in defeated self-talk. Be up for every single challenge as opposed to running away from those challenges. And again, watch your words. Never, never, ever say, I can't. This is too hard. I can't do this. Watch your words. Zip it, cut it out. Don't ever let those words escape your mouth. There you have it.